Wisdom. With the divisions of the Abhisamilakra. Translated by Edward Conze. University of California Press, Berkeley, Los Angeles, London. Translation of the Sutra. Chapter 16. Entrance into the Dharani-Doors. The equipment with the path. And further, subhuti, the great vehicle of the Bodhisattva, the great being. The four applications of mindfulness. Which four? Mindfulness as to the body, as to the feelings, as to thought, as to dharmas. There the Bodhisattva dwells, with regard to the inward body, feelings, etc. In the contemplation of the body, etc. But he does not form any discursive thoughts associated with the body, etc. He is ardent, clearly consciousness and mindful, after putting away all worldly covetousness and sadness. And that without taking anything as a basis. And so he dwells with regard to the outer body, to the inner and outer body, to feelings, thought and dharmas. How does a bodhisattva dwell with regard to the inward body in the contemplation of the body? Here a bodhisattva knows, when he walks, I walk, when he stands, I stand, when he sits, I sit, when he lies down, I lie down. In whichever position his body may be placed, whether in a good way or not, he knows that it is in that position. And through non-apprehension of anything. Further, a bodhisattva is clearly conscious when going out and coming back, when looking towards and looking away, when bending and stretching the arms, when carrying his waistcloth, robe, and alms bowl. When eating, drinking, chewing, and dispelling exhaustion by sleep. When coming and going, standing and sitting, falling asleep and waking up, speaking and keeping silent, and when retiring for meditation. And that through non-apprehension. Further, a bodhisattva who courses in perfect wisdom, and who, mindful, breathes in, knows as it truly is, mindful I breathe in. And so when he breathes out, when he makes a long inhalation or a long exhalation, a short inhalation, or a short exhalation. Just as a potter, or potter's apprentice, would whirl round a wheel, and, when making a long whirl, he would know, as it really is I make a long whirl. And so also when he makes a short whirl. So also the bodhisattva. And that through non-apprehension. Further, a bodhisattva, who courses in perfect wisdom, contemplates this very body according to its elements as it really is. There is, in this body, the element of earth, water, fire, and air. Just as a skillful cow's butcher, or cow's butcher's apprentice, having killed a cow with a sharp knife, cuts it into 4 quarters, and then examines it, as he stands or sits. Just so the bodhisattva with regard to the 4 elements. And through non-apprehension. Further, a bodhisattva, who courses in perfect wisdom, contemplates this very body as it really is, from the sole of the foot upwards, and from the top of the hair downwards, bounded by nails, down, and skin, and filled with manifold impurities. There are in this body hairs of the head, hairs of the body, nails, teeth, skin, hide, flesh, tendons, blood, bones, marrow, kidneys, heart, liver, serous membranes, spleen, lungs, intestines, mesentery, stomach, urine, excrement, tears, grease, sweat, spittle, snot, pus, bile, mucus, lymph, fluid of the joints, dirt, brain, oozings of the eye, oozings of the ear. Just as a husbandman has a sack full of all sorts of grain, sesamum, mustard seed, kidney beans, lentils, barley, wheat, rice, husked rice, and a man with eyes examining them, would know, this is rice of such a sort, this is sesamum, these are the mustard seeds, etc. Just so the Bodhisattva with regard to the parts of the body. and that through non-apprehension. And how does the Bodhisattva dwell with regard to the outer body? When he goes to the burial ground. A Bodhisattva sees all sorts of dead bodies thrown in the burial ground. Flung in the charnel field, 1 day dead, 2 days dead, or 3 days dead, or 4 days dead, or 5 days dead, swollen, dark blue, festering, eaten by worms, or mangled. And thus he compares his own body. This body also is of such a dharmic nature, of such an own being, and it has not gone beyond this state of affairs. 2. And so he reflects when he sees dead bodies cast into the burial ground, 6 nights dead and 7 nights dead, being devoured by crows, eagles, and vultures, by jackals, wolves, dogs, or various other kinds of animals. Or 3. When he sees those dead bodies flung in the burial ground, mauled, repulsive, foul, and stinking. Or 4. When he sees in the charnel field a chain of bones, smeared with flesh and blood, joined together by tendons. Or when he sees those dead bodies, a mere chain of bones, with flesh, blood and tendons all gone. Or 6. When he sees in the charnel field a chain of bones, separated, not joined together, disjoined, like shells scattered anyhow on the ground. Or 7. When he sees in the charnel field bones scattered in all directions, i.e. here foot bones, there shin bones, there thigh bones, there a hip and pelvis, there the bones of the spine, there the ribs, there the neck bones, there the arm bones, there the skull. Or 8. When he sees in the charnel field bones, several years old, several hundred years old, dried up by the wind and sunshine, white like conch shells. Or 9. When he sees in the charnel field bones, dark colored, black blue, gray like pigeons, rotten, powdered into the likeness of dust upon the ground. He compares his own body, and thinks that this body also is of such a dharmic nature, of such an own being, and it has not got beyond this state of affairs. A Bodhisattva dwells with regard to feeling. Inward, outward, and both inward and outward, in the contemplation of feelings, ardent, clearly conscious, and mindful, after putting away all worldly covetousness and sadness. And that through non-apprehension. Likewise a Bodhisattva dwells in the contemplation of thought. Likewise a Bodhisattva dwells in the contemplation of dharmas. This also is the being. Great vehicle of the Bodhisattva, the great. 2. And again, the great vehicle of the Bodhisattva, the great being, i.e. the 4 right efforts. They are: here a Bodhisattva, who courses in perfect wisdom, rouses his will, makes an effort, puts forth vigor, makes his thoughts tense, correctly exerts himself, 1. So as to bring about the future non-production of evil and unwholesome dharmas, which have not yet been produced. 2. So as to bring about the forsaking of evil and unwholesome dharmas which have been produced. 3. So as to bring about the production of wholesome dharmas which have not yet been produced. 4. So as to bring about the stability, increase, non-disappearance, and completion of the wholesome dharmas which have been produced. And that through non-apprehension. This also is the great vehicle. 3. And again, the great vehicle. The 4 bases of psychic power. They are: 1. Here a Bodhisattva, who courses in perfect wisdom, develops the basis of psychic power which is endowed with concentration from desire to do, together with the formative forces of effort, based upon detachment, dispassion, and cessation, dedicated to self-surrender. And so with 2, 3, 4, where desire to do is replaced at 2 by vigor, at 3 by thought, at 4 by exploration. And that through non-apprehension. This also is the great vehicle. 4. And again the great vehicle. The 5 dominants. Faith, vigor, mindfulness, concentration, and wisdom. 5. And again the great vehicle. The 5 powers, faith, vigor, mindfulness, concentration, and wisdom. 6. And again the great vehicle. The 7 limbs of enlightenment, i.e. mindfulness, investigation into dharma, vigor, joyous zest, tranquility, concentration, and even-mindedness. What is mindfulness as a limb of enlightenment? Here a Bodhisattva, who courses in perfect wisdom, develops the limb of enlightenment that is mindfulness, based upon detachment, dispassion, and cessation, dedicated to self-surrender. And so for the other 6. And through non-apprehension. 7. And again the great vehicle, i.e. the Eightfold Path. It consists of right view, right intention, right speech, right conduct, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, right concentration. What is right view? Here a Bodhisattva, who courses in perfect wisdom, develops right view as a limb of the path, based upon detachment, dispassion, and cessation, dedicated to self-surrender. And so for the other 7. And that through non-apprehension. 8. And again the great vehicle, i.e. the 3 concentrations, i.e. the emptiness concentration,